great segue into Scott. Scott, you represent a manufacturing, advanced manufacturing center, and you heard Marcy talk a little bit about 3D printing, making products. So on the other end of the spectrum, I want you to talk about advanced manufacturing and share with us an example of a success of some businesses that have been serviced by your center.
Sure. So let me give you a little bit of background about the MBDA Advanced Manufacturing Center program. We have a set of metrics. They're a little bit different than some of the business centers or the other specialty centers. We're focused on a couple of things. Like you, we're focused on company growth. And so we measure annual revenues of our companies and how they've grown. We measure the number of employees that they've retained and the number of new employees that they hire. But we also look at the types of training and areas that they've gotten engaged. And those areas may include specialty training around supplier development. It may include things, prototyping. It may include other types of specialty training associated with manufacturing. We are operated by the city of Baltimore. So I'm really, really fortunate. One of the few centers that's got a municipal organization as its operator. With that, I gotta acknowledge two of our members who are here, our project administrator, Uchenna, who's there, and Reginald Mack, who is our liaison with the city of Baltimore. Also want to kind of mention, I've been in this since 2014, first running a business center, thanks to Sharon Pender, who's somewhere on this side of the room I saw, who recruited me to come in and do this work with Baltimore City. I almost said no. One of the things that I would say is we begin to talk about best practices. I think Sharon knew I had a passion for working with minority businesses. So one thing, hire people that are about the mission. Just needed to throw that in. I also want to acknowledge the other advanced manufacturing centers. San Antonio is here, with the rest of us. I know Kanawha is here in Kentucky. I haven't talked to my folks in Connecticut, but there are 4 advanced manufacturing centers around the country. In terms of successes, and I want to use this one company because I think when you listen to the story, you'll get an idea of what advanced manufacturing centers and centers in general can do, wrapped up in one client. That client is a company called FabPro. FabPro is a precision metals company, CNC milling. They're located just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. When they first initially heard about MBDA and came to engage us, the CEO was skeptical. He said, this is just another government program. Fortunately, he had a young lady on his staff who had actually worked at MBDA at one point in time, many, many years ago. But quite frankly, she was skeptical. Right? I came in, we began to engage with them. The first thing we got them engaged with is something we call our CEO roundtable. It happens once a month. It is a peer-to-peer mentoring. It is our business advisors in that session. It is a safe zone. It's confidential. Whatever, everybody signs up and says they sign an agreement. Whatever happens in this session, it stays in this session. But it's the collaboration and the cooperation of the business advisors and their peers that makes the difference. He had what he thought was a employee personnel problem, couldn't find employees. So we started down the path advising him on how to recruit. But as we went down this path, we realized his other problem, Donna, was technology. And there were technologies that he could acquire that would improve his production like 3-fold. But he didn't feel like he had the money and didn't want to take the risk. So where do we go? Now we need access to capital. So we wrapped that up, provided him with access to what's called the BLT loan in Maryland, which is the casino fund. And that's a state-funded kind of a thing. I know all of us have some of those dollars. Very, very low interest. He bid on that, bought a $500,000 machine, improved his productivity 3-fold. Now, where did we go from there? We brought in another one of our partners, which was an M&T Bank, and we said, now that we've done this with this guy, now we know, right, he is credit worthy. They jumped in, they gave him a loan, but the beauty of that, wrapping all this stuff together, business development is part of our deal. They actually made his story one of their advertisements. Right?
Great.
So those collaborations, those relationships, FADPRO is just a great example of wrapping a bunch of things together.
Great.